Hi everyone, it's Kiki. Whether you are a regular or this is your first time here, welcome. If you are planning to step into the spotlight as everyone's favorite, chaotic, nail-loving imp jester, you would better make sure your costume matches that high-energy stage presence. Today, I'm showing you how to sew a complete 4-piece jester-inspired cosplay costume set from scratch. This design is packed with bold character and dynamic shapes. To capture the iconic look perfectly, we are breaking the construction down into 4 core pieces. First, the sleek form-fitting sleeveless jumpsuit, featuring the classic contrast stripe and button detailing. Second, the sharp and dramatic split-color tailcoat that brings all the theatrical movement. Third, the massive structural plush neck ruff collar that frames the face perfectly. And finally, the star of the show, the 2-pronged jester hat complete with large metallic bells. To take the guesswork out of this complex silhouette, I've drafted this entire look into a professional digital sewing pattern. As shown on the layout chart, I've rated this project a 5 out of 10 for difficulty because of the multiple pieces, color blocking, and structural complement. This project is perfect for makers with intermediate sewing knowledge. It's a bit of a time commitment, but the final high-impact result is absolutely worth it. This video is a complete step-by-step assembly tutorial to guide your workflow. If you want to jump right in with the exact printable pieces, my digital sewing pattern is available in sizes XS to 2XL. You can grab the download immediately from my shop via the link down in the description box below. Just a quick heads up, this is a fan-made tribute pattern I designed so we can safely celebrate our favorite characters together. So grab your vibrant fabrics, thread your machines, and let's start cutting. To get started, you can purchase this digital sewing pattern directly from my online shop. I have a variety of designs available with new patterns added to the store regularly, so make sure to follow my pages for updates, announcements, and the occasional limited time discount codes. Once our purchase is complete, the file will be available for instant download. Each pattern comes packed with everything you need to plan your project, including printable sewing pattern pieces, the difficulty level, and important usage notes when you are ready to print. The pattern is formatted for both A4 and A0 paper. Just make sure to select extra size or 100% scale in your printer settings to ensure all the pieces print at the exact correct dimensions. Before you start cutting your fabric, make sure to look over the introductory pages in your file. I've updated my pattern information to include a dedicated fabric and material purchase list, which will help you organize all your supplies. You will also find a quick assembly order page. This gives you a clear bird's eye view of the construction steps, so you can plan your workflow before you even head to the sewing machine. Once you've reviewed the guides and printed your pages, match the page markings to assemble the full pattern. Carefully tape the pages together, and once everything is aligned, simply cut along the dashed lines to separate your pattern pieces. Just like that, you are ready to start sewing. Now let's talk about the foundation of this vibrant build, the fabrics and materials. For my own version of this costume, I wanted an incredible stage shine and was working on a very tight timeline. Because of that, I actually digitally printed the entire set of graphics directly onto 100% polyester Duchess fabric. It gave me the perfect glossy finish and saved so much time. However, you can absolutely build this using traditional fabric color blocking. So let's walk through the ideal materials you will need for each individual piece. For the form-fitting sleeveless jumpsuit, you will need to grab some matching ribbon for the adjustable side lacings, along with the long concealed zipper that runs all the way from the back neckline down to the hipline for easy wear. If you're color blocking this piece, my top recommended fabrics are scuba or painted leather for a sleek modern look, or double crepe or linen blend if you prefer a more classic garment texture. Next up is the dramatic split color tailcoat to give this jacket the structure and theatrical presence it needs on stage. I highly recommend using rich structured fabrics like brocade, wool suiting, damask, or even a high quality forced leather. These fabrics will hold those sharp lines beautifully as you move. Finally, for a massive neck ruff collar and the iconic jester hat, structure is everything. You will want to look at fabrics like fox leather, duchess satin, or sturdy light quill to bring these pieces to life and keep them from drooping. You will also need to pick up some craft foam for stability, plastic boning to shape the collar, bias tapes for clean edges, and your choice of fasteners to secure them. Don't worry about memorizing all of this. Most of these fabric recommendations are fully detailed inside your pattern files, categorized by different styles so you can easily choose exact vibe you want for your build. Gather your materials and let's get ready to sew. We are diving into the first piece of the set, the sleeveless jumpsuit. Begin by cutting out all your jumpsuit pieces. According to the pattern layout, make sure to align each piece strictly with the grain line mark on the pattern. Once cut, transfer all your markings, including the notches, dot express, and placement points, directly onto the wrong side of the fabric pieces, so everything lines up perfectly later on. Since I was working on a super tight timeline for this project to get it ready for an upcoming event, I actually chose to overlock and finish the edges of all my pieces before beginning the assembly. It really helps speeding things up, but you can choose whichever edge finishing method works best for your workflow. Next up is the optional side lacing panel. If you want this detail, stitch the upper piece to the lower piece. Then bust your loops or hooks onto the marked placement points. For my build, I'm using 3 cm loops. Folding them in half and pinning them right onto the side panels. Keep in mind that if you prefer a simpler look without the side lacings, you can skip this step entirely. Moving on to the front borders, stitch the waist dots close and give them a good press. Next, repeat this process by stitching the waist dots close on the front trouser pieces. Once the dots are set, stitch the front trousers together along the center front crotch line. Now you can assemble the entire front section by joining the front bodice to the front trousers, stitching them securely along the waistline. For the back of the jumpsuit, stitch the waist dots close on the back trouser pieces and press them flat. Next, stitch the center back seam to make the garment easy to get into. We are going to install a long invisible zipper starting all the way up at the back neckline and running down past the hip line. Now it's time to bring the main shell together. Align your front and back jumpsuit pieces with right sides facing. Stitch the shoulder seams, the trouser inseam along the crotch line, and the out seams together. To finish the main body structure, stitch your prepared side panels into place. To give the inside a clean finish, let's assemble the linings. First, stitch the shoulder seams of the bodice lining pieces together. Finish the design netted edges and set it aside. Next, move down to the leg hem panel lining. Stitch the front and back leg hem lining pieces together, closing the flat edges. With right sides together, pin and secure all the edges of your lining to the main jumpsuit body. Carefully stitch along the neckline, the armholes, and the trouser leg hem panels. Once everything is secured, turn the entire jumpsuit right side out through your opening. Grab your iron and give the garment a thorough press to get those edges looking incredibly crisp and secure. Finally, if you chose to include the side panels back in step 2, you can now thread and secure your decorative ribbon or lacing through the loops. And with that, your sleeveless jumpsuit is officially completed. Next up is the most dramatic piece of the outfit, the Jester puff sleeve tailcoat. Start by cutting all your outer fabric and lining pieces according to the pattern layout, ensuring you pay close attention to your color blocking lines. We'll begin by constructing those signature cartoon sleeves. Run a gathering stitch along the top and bottom of the puff sleeve panel, pulling the threads to gather the fabric until it matches the size of your lining piece. Pin and secure the gathered panel to the sleeve lining. You can also create gathers by pinning the fabric evenly. Then stitch the inseam close to complete your upper puff sleeve. Set these aside for a moment. Apply interfacing to the cuff panels for added stiffness. For the dramatic spike wrist cuffs, take your outer cuff piece and stitch the short ends together to form a cylinder. Repeat this exact step for the inner lining cuff piece. Now, place the outer and inner pieces right sides together, nesting one inside the other. Stitch carefully along that jagged spike edge. Take your time here. Clip your points and curves to reduce bulk. Flip them right side out and give them a very crisp press with your iron. Repeat this to make 2 cuffs, then set them aside. Now let's bring the entire sleeve together. Stitch the inseam of the main lower arm sleeve closed. Next, attach one of your prepared spike cuffs to the bottom hem of the sleeve. To finish the silhouette, attach your gathered upper half sleeve to the top opening of the arm sleeve. Repeat this process for both arms. And your sleeves are ready. Build this inside structure, stitch your center back lining panels together along the center back line. Next, join this assembled piece to the back yoke panel. And the spike bottom hem panel. Complete the inner lining shell by stitching the side panels to your newly assembled back lining. Since this step wasn't filmed, I'm using the outer layer to demonstrate how to attach the center back and side panels. Apply interfacing to the center front panel for added stiffness. From there, stitch your center front panels to the side front panels. Your inner lining shell is now fully assembled. Now, repeat the exact same panel assembly process we just did for the lining, but this time use your outer fashion fabric to fully construct the outer jacket shell. With right sides together, insert your lining jacket into your outer jacket shell. Pin carefully around the entire perimeter and stitch the edges close. Making sure to leave a small opening so you can flip the jacket right side out through the gap. and press the entire garment flat. Take extra time with the spike hem tail here. Getting those points perfectly crisp and sharp makes massive difference on camera. We're on the home stretch. Set and stitch your fully assembled sleeve into the jacket armholes. Take your time sewing these curves so the shoulder sits perfectly once they are in. Finish your inside armhole seams and hand stitch your turning gap closed. To finish the look, apply lightweight interfacing two-loop cuff band panels for stability. Fold each cuff band in half with right sides together and stitch the two short ends shut. Turn them right side out. Press the remaining raw seam allowances neatly inward and top stitch the opening closed. Add your choice of fasteners like snaps, buttons, or hooks to finish them. Keep in mind, these cuff bands are independent accent pieces that slide onto your wrist separately. They don't attach directly to the sleeve itself. Give the entire jacket one final steam press, and your Jester puff sleeve tailcoat is officially complete. Next up, let's tackle the massive neck ruff collar. Now let's move on to the third piece of the set, the massive floating Jester collar. Start by cutting out all your fabric pieces according to the pattern layout. If you are using a lining for the neckband like I am, we'll begin there. Sew 2 channels of bias tape directly onto the neckband lining panel, inserting our plastic boning later on. Keep in mind, if you prefer to use form stuffing for structure instead of boning, you can skip this step entirely. Next, apply your choice of fasteners, such as Velcro, snap buttons, or hooks to the designated markings on the pattern pieces. Once those are secure, stitch the neckline band panel to the main collar panel to form the inner circular band. If you are using the lining panel as I do, you can seam the lining and outer pieces together at this stage. Now let's assemble the main body of the collar. Join your circular neckline band assembly to the remaining collar panels. Because these pieces are completely circular, take your time to carefully align and match all your marked notches to prevent the fabric from twisting or wrapping. To give the collar that dramatic gravity-defying cartoon shape, it's time to add the structure. Carefully slide your plastic boning into the bias tape channels we prepared earlier, or secure it right along the seam allowance. If you don't want to use plastic boning, you can easily substitute it with heavy-duty horsehair braid or stiff foam interfacing depending on your preference and what you have on hand. With the structure in place, stitch the remaining edges close, leaving a small gap to turn it. Flip the entire collar right side out through the opening, hand stitch the gap closed, and give it a clean press with your iron. Just like that, your dramatic Jester collar is complete. Last but not least, let's make the iconic Jester hat. We've made it to the final and most iconic piece, the Jester hat. Starting by cutting out all your fabric pieces. According to the pattern layout, if you are replicating the vibrant multicolor look that I'm making, be sure to check out the color layout diagram on page 3 of the pattern files, titled Jester Hat Sewing Instructions. For this specific color block style, you will need to cut exactly one of each design panel. Before you heat up your sewing machine, lay out all your pattern and fabric pieces exactly as shown in the layout diagram on page 2 of the pattern info file. This will make your assembly track much easier to follow. Now, there are 2 ways you can assemble the horns. In this video, I'm seaming the upper horn panels directly to the lower horn panels first. As a quick tip, I like to insert a tiny bit of foam stuffing right into the very tip of the points early on, and then join the larger panels together without stuffing the rest of the horn yet. We don't want the hat to get too heavy while we are working on it. Alternatively, you can follow the step-by-step graphic instruction in file included in your pattern. For that method, you assemble the upper section first by stitching the curved dots on the panels close and joining upper hat horn panels labeled F, G, H, I, and J together in sequence. After that, you simply stitch the lower hat horn panels together to form the base section, and then join the upper and lower units together. Whichever method you choose, get both of your horns ready and set them aside. Now, I know a 3D structure hat like this can look a little confusing at first glance, unlike a stand-up bodice or a skirt. Headwear doesn't really follow a basic traditional construction path. But don't worry, all you have to do is lay out your pattern pieces exactly as shown on page 2 of the guide and follow the alphabet and numbers marked right on the edges. Just join them up and sew them together in sequence. A to A, B to B, 3 to 3, 4 to 4, and so on. It's like a puzzle, and once you start matching the notches, it all clicks into place perfectly. Next, let's construct the main outer hat. Stitch hat panels A, B, C, D, and E together to form the first half of the outer hat shell. Repeat that exact process to create a mirrored second half. Place these two halves right sides together and stitch securely along the center front and center back lines. Depending on how you want to wear this, you can choose to sew the chin line completely closed at this stage or add fabric straps if you prefer a tie-on style. To create the inner shell, simply repeat the exact same assembly process we just did for the body, but this time use your lining pieces. Stitch the panels into two halves, and then join them together along the center front and center back lines. Now, stitch your completed horn securely onto the main outer hat shell. Once they are attached, it's time to fill them out. To achieve that dramatic cartoon shape, instead of regular plush stuffing, try using hard netting, tulle, or crinoline to pack the horns. It keeps them wonderfully structural, upright, and puffy without adding any crushing weight to this massive hat. With the right sides together, insert your completed inner lining hat into the outer hat shell. Carefully align the face and bottom edges. Stitch around to seal them together. And then the whole hat right side out through your designed turning gap. Hand stitch that gap closed and give the main body edges a nice press. Finish the look, pencil your choice of decorative trims, accents, or those classic heavy jester bells right to the tips of your structural horns. And that completes our full 4 pieces Jester costume set. We've taken flat yards of fabric and turned them into a dramatic, high-energy stage uniform. If you are ready to build this look yourself, my digital sewing pattern is available right now in size XS to 2XL. Just hit the very first link in the description box below to grab your instant download, which includes the full graphic guide and material list. Don't forget, this is a fan-made tribute pattern designed to help our community craft safely. I can't wait to see your final builds. So please take your photos with @KikiLin's Design Studio so I can share your amazing work. If this tutorial helped you out, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more precision cosplay patterns, and I will see you in the next project. Happy sewing! Bye bye!